Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So Hare Krishna, dear Prabhujis, dear devotees, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. And in our last session we read the 31st verse. Now 32nd verse, another very beautiful verse. Lord Shri Krishna, he is saying, Yadrichaya chopapannam swargadwaram apavritam sukhinah kshatriya partha labhante yuddham idrisham. यदृच्छया चोपपन्नं स्वर्गद्वारम् अपावृतं सुखीनः क्षत्रिया पार्था लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम्. Yadrichaya, by its own accord, cha also, upapannam, arrived at, swarga, heavenly planets, dwaram, door, apavritam, wide open, sukhinaha, very happy, kshatriya, the members of the royal order, Partha, O son of Pritha, Labhante, do achieve, Yuddham, war, Idrisham, like this. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas, to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas, Sukhinaha, to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So in the purport, Swami Shrila Parashar is writing, as Supreme Teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya to be in the battlefield and to become non-violent is the philosophy of fools. So in the Parashar Smriti or religious codes made by Parashar, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo hi prajarakshan शस्त्रपाणि प्रदंडयान निर्जित्य पर सैन्यादि क्षितिम धर्मेण पालयेत. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. Considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom, and if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So, very beautiful verse. Unsought, yadrichaya, on its own accord. So Lord Shri Krishna, he is explaining to Arjunji, Kshatriyas, as we saw in the previous purport, also Swami Srila Prabhupada explained, and violence also has an important role to play in the society. Violence is entrusted to Kshatriyas or it is the duty of the Kshatriyas to use violence in its right way. Everything is important. So Kshatriyas are trained in that way. In the previous purport also we saw Kshatriyas are trained in a way to fight with others. They are trained for fighting, and they have to apply violence for the protection of the citizens, for the protection of the religion, for the protection of the dharma. So Lord Shri Krishna here, he is asking Arjunji, or he is informing in one way, to think about his duty as a Kshatriya, and he is saying, happy are those Kshatriyas who get such fighting opportunities unsought, without seeking for them, yadrichaya, on its own accord. Pandavas, they were not seeking fight, they didn't wanted to fight, they didn't wanted fight. But because of Duryodhanji's obstinacy, because he was adamant, so the Pandavas unwillingly, unsought, they never desired, they were not seeking, but on its own accord, this battle of Kurukshetra, or the war of Kurukshetra, the war of Mahabharata, has come for them. But here Lord Shri Krishna, he is telling Arjunji कि सुखीन क्षत्रिय पार्था लभन्ते युद्धम ईदृशम लभन्ते. To achieve, Lord Shri Krishna, he is saying, to achieve such fighting opportunities come unsought. Happy are the Kshatriyas. Sukhinaha Kshatriya Partha. O Partha, son of Pritha, Sukhina Kshatriya. Cha Upapannam, arrived at. The war has arrived on its own, without seeking. So it is opening Swargadwaram, Apavritam, wide open. So if such fighting opportunities come on their own accord, and if a Kshatriya has to fight for the cause of religion, dharmayat, for protecting the religion, then such fighting opportunities open the door of heavenly planets, and not only open, wide open. Apavritam, Lord Shri Krishna, he is informing Arjunji, doors of the heavenly planet opening for them. Apavritam, wide open. So such fighting opportunities, they open the door. If in such fighting, Srila Prabhupada is also mentioning in the purport that Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom. And if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefits in either case. So if Arjunji or Pandavas, if they come out victorious, then they will enjoy the kingdom. Or if they die, then they will attain heavenly planets. They will be elevated to heavenly planets. So Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is starting the purport. In the beginning of the purport, he is writing, as supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. So such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. Of course, Arjunji is not ignorant, but because he is a very elevated soul, he do not want to kill his own kinsmen, his own relatives and friends, just for the kingdom. Rajyam Suramani Chadipatyam, in the previous verses already, Arjunji told, I am not ready to kill my relatives, even if I get a kingdom with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. I am not ready to kill them. But because Lord Shri Krishna, he is also the teacher of the whole world, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, Vande Krishnam Jagadguru. So through Arjunji, actually Lord Shri Krishna is trying to tell everyone, whole humanity. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita only, Swami Srila Prabhupada told that everyone, all those who were there in that battlefield, they heard Bhagavad Gita and they all were benefited. And as such, Bhagavad Gita is not meant for any particular sect or community or country. Bhagavad Gita is the science of soul and science of super soul and science of action. So Lord Shri Krishna here, he is saying that one's specific duties, as mentioned in the scriptures, is very, very important. If one does that, then he is elevated, even if he dies in execution of his duties. So violence is meant for Kshatriyas, and Kshatriyas are trained in that way. Parashar Muni, the great sage Swami Srila Prabhupada, he took another reference in the purport. Parashar Muni, who is the father of the Ved Vyasji, he is the father of Ved Vyasji, who compiled all the Vedic literature, and Parashar Muni, he also gave the definition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is writing, or he is explaining in his Smriti. Earlier everything was in the form of Shruti and Smriti. Later Vyasdeva, he wrote everything on leaves at that time, so that people of this age, Kali Yuga, can get benefited. So Parashar Muni in his Smriti, he is explaining religious codes. According to him, Kshatriyo hi praja rakshan. So it is the duty of the Kshatriya to protect praja rakshan, to protect the citizens. And for that, they have to commit violence. Shastra pani pradandayan, danda, punishing. Shastra, through weapons. Shastra pani pradandayan, for what? Praja rakshan, for protecting the innocent citizens. So Kshatriyo hi praja rakshan, shastra pani pradandayan, nirjitya, jit, conquering, parasanyadi, other soldiers of other kings, inimical kings, those who are inimical, those who disturb law and order, those who disturb peace of general citizens, population, public. So the Kshatriya's duty is to protect Nirjitya parasanyadi shitim dharmen palayet. Shitim dharmen palayet. And they should rule as per religious principles. So that is also very, very important. They gain kingdom by conquering other kings, inimical kings. And whenever there is such fighting opportunity, they should fight for the protection of the citizen. And by doing so, they gain kingdom on this planet, and they should rule as per Dharmen Palayet, the Kshatriya's duties to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties. And for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. So, if the king is religious, then the citizens are peaceful and they can properly execute their duties as mentioned in the scriptures. All the varnas and all the ashramas, all the citizens, all the public, they can execute their duties and they can be elevated. But if the king is irreligious, then there will be no peace and prosperity in the society. So it was the duty of the Kshatriyas. Parashar Muni, he is explaining. Praja Rakshan Panihi Pradandayan. It was the duty, and Swami Shrila Prabhupada, that's why he is writing ki if a Kshatriya is in the battlefield and he is talking about non-violence, then it is foolish. Violence is meant for the Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas should use or apply violence for the better cause, for the protection of the innocent citizens. If there is a religious ruler, if there is a religious king, then there will be peace and prosperity in the society, and people will execute their duties properly. And those who are trying to advance in spiritual life, the four orders of spiritual life, brahmacharya, vanprastha, grahastha, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanprastha, sannyas, they can also practice their various devotional activities nicely under a religious king. So that's why it was the duty. And if a Kshatriya, so that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is writing, such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya to be in the battlefield and to become non-violent is the philosophy of fools. So thus Kshatriyas are trained in that way, and violence also has a role in the society. And violence is also used for the service of the Supreme Lord, because every living entity, every belong to the Supreme Lord, is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and innocent should always be protected. And that's why even the kingdom, truly speaking, everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Everything has come from Him and everything belongs to Him. So kingdom also actually belongs to the Supreme Lord. But it is entrusted to the Kshatriyas so that they can protect the citizens. Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. Those who give protection, trayate, to others from difficulties, from harm, from hurt. So disturbing the peace of others is actually hurting them mentally. And if the king is irreligious, then he can exploit the citizens for his sense gratification, and he can also hurt them physically, and there will be no proper law and order in the society, and hence everybody will be in everyone's mental peace will be disturbed, and as such no one will be able to execute their duties properly, and those practicing spiritual life will not be able to execute austerities, penances and other rituals to progress in the spiritual life. That's why it was very, very important, and that's why actually Lord Shri Krishna, he is motivating, because Duryodhan ji is irreligious. If he rule also in the future, then the citizens will not be peaceful and there will be no prosperity in the society. So that's why Lord Shri Krishna, he is motivating Arjun ji to fight for the right cause. It is the duty of the Kshatriyas to fight for the religious principles. And Kshatriyas talking of non-violence is foolish. They are trained in a way to apply or to use violence in its right way for the protection of the citizens. So, considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, if Pandavas and Arjunji, if they become victorious, then he would enjoy the kingdom. And if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Apavritam. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So even if for a religious person, if a religious Kshatriya like Pandavas and Arjunji, if the fight has come on its own accord, so Lord Shri Krishna is saying, you are fortunate. Either you will win the kingdom of this earth, or even if you die, so in either case you are benefited. Even if you die, you will be promoted to the heavenly planets. And if you win, you will have a kingdom and you will benefit your own self and others also. The citizens will be benefited because of your religious rule. Dharmena palayet. And thus you will be serving the Supreme Lord in that way. So, wonderful verse and wonderful concepts and points in the purport. Yadrichaya chopapannam swargadaram apavritam sukhinah kshatriya partha labante yuddham idrisham. So with this I would like to stop here. We'll take up another verse in our next session, and we'll try to read and understand it through the wonderful purports of Swami Srila Prabhupada. So, Jayam Vishnupad, Paramhans, Parivrajacharya, Ashtrotra Shat, Shri Srimati Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace, Krishna Kripa Murti, Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Holy Name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.